Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to do a review of Agent Venom. But before we jump into it, guys, I just want to make a quick announcement. We still have the live streams going on every day at 8 p.m. Eastern time. However, we have switched platforms. We've moved from YouTube to Twitch. The link has changed in the description, and I will be doing it from now on Twitch. So if you want to check me out, if you still want to catch all the amazing live stream highlights, if you want to ask me questions in person, get answers, and just see the hilarity of eating pastries and the chair playing online, hit me up on Twitch, guys, and I hope to see you there. So as far as Agent Venom goes, I have to say, I think he is the physical character we have been waiting for. You know, I've been making a lot of noise, and a lot of people have said that the physical characters are imbalanced in this game. There are not enough good physical characters that deal damage and that are competitive and that are at the top of the meta. That it's dominated by characters like Doctor Strange, Dormammu, Odin, Proxima, Thanos. All these characters that deal primarily energy-based attacks. Even my girl, Tier 1 Sharon Rogers. But Agent Venom, or Space Knight Venom, if you're referring to him correctly, Netmarble, is probably the best answer to that gap in the physical damage dealing category. I put him on this team up with Carnage and Venom just to illustrate both extremes of the physical class. Venom should be amazing, but he's terrible, and he's a physical damage dealing character that desperately needs a rework. And Carnage is probably neck and neck with Agent Venom for the top physical damage dealing character in the game. They both eclipse Moon Knight, and they're both absolute powerhouses. But let's focus on Agent Venom and see just what's up with the character. So what are some pros of his? Insane burst damage on his 5th skill, iframe on his 4th skill, and a guard hit on his 3rd skill. All fantastic qualities, not to mention the fact that he has a self-buffing leadership, which is very important for World Boss and World Boss Ultimate. Some cons of the character are that he is paywall. That's basically the only knock against the character. You can only obtain his bios by paying the money to get that bio subscription, or I think if you start a new game, you get to choose, you know, a couple of bios of a paywall character, in which case it's a tough pull or a tough choice between, you know, Amora, Carnage, and now Agent Venom, and maybe even Kid Kaiju. But moving on to the gear options for Agent Venom, we've got physical attack and ignore defense for the first two, which are fantastic. All defense crit damage, again, top tier. Attack speed, crit rate, again, not bad. And then skill cooldown, movement speed. Skill cooldown being very important. The only stat that he's really missing from this list is HP. So you do want to keep that in mind, but otherwise, because he has ignore defense and skill cooldown, it's very easy to cap both of those stats, not to mention the fact that he has ignore dodge as a native ability, increased damage to supervillain types, and then ignore dodge again. So he also has a native 20% ignore dodge even at tier 1. But even before I tier 2'd him, I had almost max skill cooldown and max ignore defense just from my cards and just from his gears. So he's a fantastic character. You probably want to roll physical and all attack for the first one, all defense and energy defense pi level for the second gear, HP and HP by level for the third, and then a mixture of whatever you need. As you can see here, I have some ignore defense and skill cooldown, but the rest is going into crit rate, and I'll explain why crit rate is more important than crit damage in a minute. Moving on to the Obelisk, guys. The ideal Obelisk for Agent Venom, if you want to be competitive in Extreme Alliance battle, looks something like this, or you can change recovery rate for crit rate or crit damage, but you need the damage proc, the higher the better, and then you need immunity to snare. However, I will say that before I was using a double recovery rate with damage proc here on the bottom right with Agent Venom, and I was able to comfortably score about 200,000. That is, comfortably score 200,000 without a snare Obelisk. Prior to that, I was scoring 200,000 trying my all-out hardest and concentrating as much as possible with Moon Knight. So by comparison, guys, it's much easier to score well with Agent Venom, even if you don't have that crucial snare Obelisk. Now, if you don't want to gear him for Extreme Alliance battle, if you want to gear him for PvP, for example, you could slap an invincibility Obelisk on here. You could slap a double recovery rate Obelisk on here. Keep in mind that he does have invincibility on his 5th skill and a guard on his 3rd skill, so another invincibility on top of that may be overkill, but we'll have to wait and see just how powerful he becomes in PvP scenarios. As far as the ISO 8 set goes, I had a horrific time trying to roll Overdrive. Overdrive is the one and only best set for Agent Venom, and I'll explain why. But basically what you need to remember is that Agent Venom has self-buffing attack speed, which makes Power of Angry Hulk not necessary. That attack speed is much better served as crit damage, which he'll get if you roll Overdrive. And he doesn't need the skill cooldown from Hawkeye because he has it native on his gear. So if you take a look at the skills, you can see that his Venom Frenzy at tier 1 or tier 2, when he attacks, it will buff his all attack, his all speed, and his crit rate. So right there, the all speed is what makes Overdrive the best. When you tier 2 him, this Venom Frenzy gets even better, and you will see that HP recovery. That's why recovery rate on his Obelisk is actually beneficial. It does synergize, and it does make up a little bit for his low HP since he doesn't have any native on his gear. But when he gets ascended to tier 2, he becomes a huge beast. So he gets increased crit damage 15% and guaranteed crit 30%. Now the 30% guaranteed crit is why you want to gear his Uru for crit, and you want to gear his 4th gear for crit if you have extra space. That is crit rate, not crit damage. And then it also improves his Venom Frenzy and gives that heal, and it also improves the activation rate up to 30%. So with those being set up, you want to look at the Uru. You want to get physical attack, absolutely, 2 slots, and then I put in crit rate for the other ones because I want to get his crit rate high as possible to synergize with his guaranteed crit rate, because guaranteed crit rate works side by side with crit rate. It doesn't actually stack. They work together in tandem. So when you have a lot of guaranteed crit rate, if you have a lot of base crit rate, it's going to make you crit a lot more often. And it's also easy to get his crit damage up with his ISO 8 set, with his Obelisk, and with his team up with Warwolf. Because if you're going for Extreme Alliance battle scores, Warwolf's tier 2 passive gets a 30% crit damage, which is what's going to make up for the fact that you're gearing his crit rate you know, in his stats. As far as his World Boss and World Boss Ultimate potential goes, it's just amazing, guys. I can clear any World Boss with ease. It's very, very easy. Even at tier 1, he does not struggle. He's an absolute monster, and that's why I think he's a better value pickup if you're going to invest in one paywall physical character than Carnage. Carnage does not do well at tier 1. He doesn't have the invincibility, he doesn't have the extreme damage, but Agent Venom does. All of his skills function the same way at tier 1 as they do at tier 2. The only difference is the extra crit and the heal on Venom Frenzy, but you don't necessarily need the heal if you play safely, which makes him a super value character for tier 1, probably one of the best tier 1 characters in the game, guys. It's just amazing. He can also compete very well in World Boss Ultimate. I have been able to clear phase 3 with him with a pretty decent score. I think I'm about rank 50 in the world right now, so I do have to say that his speed overall is fantastic, given the fact that he is showing up so many times in this list for the top clears for Proxima. His physical damage, as you guys can see here, a ton of Agent Venoms, more so than Doctor Strange, more so than Sharon Rogers, because that damage that he does at tier 2 is just bonkers, guys. So pretty much any game mode he can dominate in. Shadowlands, of course, he's going to dominate in. It seems that he is going to be the #1 for Extreme Alliance Battle on the Combat Superhero Day. And I can say myself, I've done my highest scores with him, north of 250. I can probably get close to 300 if I really try my best, which, you know, eclipses Iron Fist and Moon Knight. Unfortunately, the only problem with Agent Venom is that you can't farm him. You got to get him with a Bioselector, so sorry, not a Bioselector, a Biosubscription. So that's kind of the only blemish on the character, but I have to say he does live up to the billing. If you're going to spend money on a character, you will not be disappointed with Agent Venom. Whether he's tier 1 or tier 2, he will be an absolute beast on your roster, and should he ever get a uniform, he's going to absolutely erupt, guys. He's better than characters like I've said, Moon Knight and Iron Fist and others, despite the fact that he's missing that 20% all attack and all those other uniform stats. So that is the review for Agent Venom, guys. I am really happy that Netmarble decided to introduce a new powerful physical attacking character. I think they need to do this more. I think this is not enough, but this is a good start. We just need a few more heroes now in the speed class potentially, and maybe even in the blast or universal class that are physical damage dealers, to kind of make up the deficit that the physical class is, or type is, you know, having right now, as opposed to the energy class. The only blemish, of course, is the fact that he's paywall, but even at tier 1, he's going to give you insane value, and he's going to be one of the best tier 1 characters on your roster, you know, bar none. He outshines Moon Knight at tier 1, absolutely, Iron Fist, absolutely, even with the uniform, even Carnage. He blows pretty much everybody out of the water, and tier 2, it just gets better. He's easily one of the 10 best characters in the game now with his showing, and we're just going to see as time goes on how much more powerful he can get with the right setup and the right players playing him. So let me know what you guys think of Agent Venom or Space Knight Venom. Let me know how angry you are at Netmarble for screwing up his name, and if you have any ideas as to why they did that, please let me know in the comments. And of course, guys, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.